A family in Pakistan was enslaved, and I'm using that word deliberately. For 130 years, 4 generations, great grandparents, grandparents, parents, and children, and all of them born into debt, all of them told they could never leave. It ended on May 14th, 2026, not because of governments, not because of corporations, but because of AI? No, because one man got on a plane and paid the debt himself. We live in a world where the most powerful technology ever built is being handed to you without instructions, without warnings, and without anyone asking whether it serves you or uses you. That question has a name: the Virtuous Machine. I'm Michael Ruthier, and this is Tech for Grown-Ups, the show that believes technology should answer to human beings, not the other way around. This is the show the tech industry doesn't want you to hear. No corporate talking points, no sponsored opinions, just honest conversation. Let's go. And I'm sitting here thinking, why are we calling this beautiful? Why aren't we calling it what it actually is? A scandal. Now stay with me, because this one's going to go deeper than you think. And it connects to everything we talk about on this show. But first, let me give you the numbers, because the numbers are important here. Now, Pakistan has approximately 20,000 brick kilns that are operating right now. Over 4.5 million workers are trapped in them. The majority of those workers are in debt bondage, meaning they borrowed money, often for something as basic as a medical emergency or a funeral. And then the kiln owner told them, you can't leave until it's paid back. And then the debt grows, and then it gets passed to the children, and then to the grandchildren. And it has been going on in some families for over a century. Now, over 70% of bonded laborers in these kilns are children. Children making bricks in 2026. And here's the part that should make your blood boil, because it does mine. This is illegal. Pakistan passed the Bonded Labor System Abolition Act in 1992, abolishing this. The law exists. The crime is documented. Human rights organizations have been reporting on it for decades. Al Jazeera has covered it. International NGOs have published report after report after report. And yet here we are. 4.5 million people still waiting. Now, I told you this connects to everything we do on this show. And here's exactly how. You want to know why bonded labor in Pakistani brick kilns continues to exist despite being illegal? Despite being documented, despite being a moral obscenity that any decent human being would want to end immediately. Follow the money. Pakistan's brick kiln industry is worth billions with a B. The bricks go into construction. Construction is one of the largest industries on earth. Global supply chains are extraordinarily complex, which means it is very easy for a company to buy materials without knowing or choosing not to know that those materials were made by enslaved people. I say choosing not to know deliberately, because the technology to know right now, today, as I'm speaking to you right now, it exists. AI-powered supply chain transparency tools can trace materials from source to product. Those exist. They are being used in some industries. They are absolutely not being mandated in the construction material supply chain at the scale that would make a difference. Why not? Because the people who would have to pay for that transparency are the same people who benefit from cheap bricks. And cheap bricks are cheap because the people making them are not being paid. They are being owned. This is the same logic, the exact same logic as a company replacing skilled workers with AI to extract profit rather than share it. The faces are different. The geography is different. The brutality of one is more visible than the other. But the core calculation is identical. Human beings as cost inputs, not as people. And somewhere we lost that. Now, I want to bring someone into this conversation who's been dead for about 2,000 years. His name was Epictetus. And you've heard me talk about him before on this show. Epictetus was a slave, not a metaphorical slave, not someone who felt trapped in a bad job or any of that. He was a slave. He was owned. He was beaten. His master once broke his leg to demonstrate power over him. And Epictetus looked up at his master and said calmly, "You are going to break it." And when the leg broke, he said, "Did I not tell you that you would break it?" That is not a story about passive acceptance. That is a story about a man who understood in the most visceral possible way the difference between what someone can take from you and what they cannot. They can break your leg. They cannot break your mind. They can own your body. They cannot own your character. And here is what Epictetus said that I want you to sit with today. If you yourself don't choose what thoughts and images you expose yourself to, someone else will. And their motives may not be the highest. He was talking about mental slavery, about allowing other people or other systems to control what you think, what you fear, what you believe is possible. Sound familiar? Sound like any algorithms that you may know. But Epictetus also understood something about the people doing the enslaving. He understood that they are also trapped in their greed, trapped in their need for power, trapped in a moral framework so broken that they cannot see the human being in front of them. He did not excuse them, but he understood them. And he said because of that, when you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. The kiln owners are morally broken people. The executives who don't audit their supply chains are morally broken people. And the uncomfortable question Epictetus would ask, and the question I am asking you right now is, where are we complicit? Where are we the kiln owner? Now I want to talk about two men who actually did something. The first is Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome. He was the most powerful man in the world at that time. And one of the things he actually did, and is documented historical fact, was work to limit and reform slavery in the Roman Empire. He expanded the legal rights of slaves. He created conditions under which slaves could appeal to courts. He was not able to end slavery, unfortunately. The institution was too embedded in the entire Roman economy for one man to dismantle it. But he used the power he had in the direction of human dignity every time he could. And every night he wrote in his private journal his meditations, reminders to himself to do better, not for show. Nobody was supposed to read those notes. That was just the standard he held himself to. Now, a second man, and his name is Aaron Hutchings. Aaron Hutchings is not an emperor. He's a private individual connected to a small organization called Project Jubilee. He did not have the power to change Pakistani law. He did not have the power to force multinationals to audit their supply chains. What he had was enough money to pay off one family's debt, and he used it. This was the fifth family Project Jubilee has freed. 5 families. 4.5 million people still waiting. I'm not saying what Aaron did wasn't meaningful. It was everything to that family. Everything. 130 years ended on May 14th because of him. But I am saying that we should be furious that it fell to him, that we watched a viral video and called it beautiful and moved on instead of asking loudly, repeatedly, without stopping, why is one private donor doing the work of 30 years of international law? Here's where this lands in our world. In Tech for Grownups, in the Virtuous Machine series, we have artificial intelligence right now that can map global supply chains and flag products likely made with forced labor, cross-reference company procurement data against known high-risk regions and industries, identify at-risk populations before they fall into debt bondage, and connect them with support. Monitor brick kilns using satellite imagery and flag unusual labor patterns. This is not science fiction. These tools exist. They are being developed and in some cases deployed by human rights organizations with almost zero funding against industries with billions of dollars and no interest in being audited. The question isn't whether the technology can help. The question is the same question that runs through every episode of this series. Who decides what the technology is used for? Because right now, the same computing power that could be mapping Pakistani brick kilns and identifying enslaved families is being used to optimize ad targeting, to make sure you see the right sponsored post at the right moment to make you buy something that you don't freaking need. Now, Marcus Aurelius would look at that and have one question. Is this the virtuous use of what we have? And the answer is clearly no. I started this episode talking about one family, 4 generations, 130 years, and one man who got on a plane and ended it. And I want to end it with a question, the same question this entire series is built around. We have the tools. We have the technology. We have the data. We have the computing power. We have the money. God, do we have the money? We just spent billions on a social media platform's new algorithm update. And somewhere in Pakistan right now, while I'm even talking to you, a child is making bricks to pay off a debt their great-great-grandparent borrowed. What are we going to do about it? Not Aaron Hutchings, not Project Jubilee. We, you and me, and every person listening to this episode right now. The Stoics didn't believe in passive observation. Musonius Rufus was direct. Evil is indifference to a neighbor's trouble. Not ignorance, indifference, because you now know. You've listened to this whole thing. You know. So the question is no longer whether you know. The question is, what do you do next? What you do next? I'll see you in the next episode. Marcus Aurelius asked a question that I think about every time I sit down to record this show. What is it fundamentally that this thing is for? Not what it claims to be for. What is it actually for? That's the Virtuous Machine question. And it applies to every piece of technology being built right now. The AI, the algorithms, the platforms, all of it. You'll find everything from today's episode at techforgrownups.com. Join the conversation in the community. The link is there. Stay sharp, stay loud, and I'll see you in the next one.